Hey, Elden and Rochelle. I wanted to take the time to extend my heartfelt congratulations on receiving the inaugural The Ground Hire Lifetime Achievement Award. For 33 years, I know you poured every ounce of yourself into starting, running, and growing Revacom. And as the award title aptly suggests, I bet it felt like a lifetime ago since we met, and it probably felt like a few lifetimes ago since you even had the idea to go out on your own and start your own business. And even after what felt like a lifetime to me, I'm still amazed at the sheer dedication and sacrifice that went into the 33 years. When Norman asked me to do this, he mentioned that the board selected you because you were a member for almost 20 years and were the ground hire company to exit. He also stated that he always gave generously to your peers, the church, the community, and everyone felt that you were the right person to give this inaugural award to. I personally couldn't have agreed with them more. But what I think a lot of people miss, and what I'd like everyone to know, is that on the outside, they always saw someone calm, collected, and wise. And I think a lot of people look back now and see a wild success story, which they should, but they often don't get to peek behind the curtain and see the struggle, the never-ending pressure, the sleepless nights, the stress it puts on family, and at times the crushing debt that comes with and before every success story. And through it all, and what I always admired was that you always managed to be cool, calm, and generous. Even when you didn't know where the next payroll would come from, you kept faith, and even when you had nothing to give, you gave. I always think it's funny and ironic that people largely believe success in the business world is about starting a company and making a lot of money. However, somewhere along the way, you realize that it was never about that. Both were just a conduit for the impact you could make on the lives of others. I'll be the first one to tell everyone how much you and Revacom has changed my life. And I can attest to the impact that you've made on the lives that came into contact with Revacom. Many former employees reach out consistently and give their testimonies as to how Revacom changed their life and how they will never find a place as special. None of that would have been possible without you dedicating your life to doing what you did. So with that, congratulations again, and can't wait for the board to give you a second Lifetime Achievement Award, because I know that there's still at least one more lifetime of impact making in you. See you later.
Hey everyone, my name is Roland. I'm a pastor here in Las Vegas. I have the privilege of calling Elden Ito my good friend. And I'm going to say this up front. I have a time limit, so there's absolutely no way I can say everything that's in my heart. But I can give you a little glimpse of the Elden that I've come to know and appreciate. And before anything else, I just want to honor his wife, Rochelle, and the Ito family, because Elden himself will tell you that he wouldn't be who he is without them. They lead together, they love together, and they make impact together. But today, we're talking about and honoring Elden. And the best place to start, in my mind, is the moment this friendship even began. Elden was visiting Las Vegas with his family, just a normal weekend, nothing special. And they walked into our church for a visit. Now, I love meeting new people. And so after the service, I went straight up to him to introduce myself. And I said, "Hey, my name is Roland. Welcome." And he must not have heard a thing that I said, because he went to shake my hand and he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "Wait, who are you?" I said, "I'm the pastor." And let's just say ever since then, we've been very, very good friends. And only God can turn an unscripted, slightly awkward moment like that into a real brotherhood. But even in that first moment, somehow something great about Elden really stood out to me. Before we ever knew about his success or his leadership or his influence, I saw his humility. He didn't walk in with status. He didn't lead with accomplishments. He didn't walk in like a boss. He walked in like family. And people, they're not intimidated by Elden. They're inspired by him. And from the very day that Elden and Rochelle arrived at our church, they heard the vision and they said, "Yep, count us in." And Elden didn't come to Vegas to cruise. He came to contribute. The family didn't come to Vegas to sit back. They came to serve. And success, it doesn't separate Elden from people. It actually draws them towards him. And so he doesn't stand on success. He shares his success. He makes space for people, for healing, for transformation, for connection, all that good stuff. And Elden steps in with an open heart and open hands. and he lifts people quietly. He encourages leaders privately. He even walks with couples through difficult times faithfully. And he gives wisdom at the right time and in the right spirit. And he's impacted my life directly. One of the things that he reminded me of, and it's impacted me greatly, is that none of us should lead or do life alone. And he doesn't just say it, he lives it. He celebrates others, he empowers others, he gives room for people to rise, and he purposely speaks about his own weaknesses because he wants people to know that if God can help him overcome, God can help you overcome also. That's leadership, that's integrity, and that's Elden. And if you want to see his legacy, just look at his kids, Shohei, Ali, Alana, grounded, confident, respectful, ambitious, sometimes even unintentionally hilarious. But they're all reflections of the values he and Rochelle live every day. So Elden, on behalf of my family and your Vegas family, I want you to hear this clearly. We honor you, we appreciate you, and we thank God for you. Your humility has spoken louder than any achievement. Your generosity has touched people quietly and deeply. And your strength has carried others in moments they didn't even realize they needed. Thank you for lifting us and encouraging us and believing in us. We're so proud of the man you are, and we're grateful God crossed our paths. Your most impactful days are still ahead. Congratulations, my brother. God bless you and much love.
Such an honor to be able to speak about my good friend Elden. But let me read from the scripture, the Bible, and it says this: the steps of a man are established by the Lord, and he delights in his way. When he falls, he will not be hurled down, because the Lord is the one who holds his hand. It's found in Psalms 37, verse 23 and 24. I'm not talking about the steps of a super saint in a traditional sense, but a man whose steps has been shaped, guided, and blessed by the Lord. See, we often hear stories of self-made men and women who overcame challenges through determination and ingenuity to achieve success. This is not one of those stories. Elden's story is one of discovering and growing reliance on God and others. Elden's story is like the Bible character of Jacob. Jacob used his knowledge of relationships and strategies to achieve his goals. A birthright and a blessing that wasn't really promised to him. But it wasn't until Jacob got a hold of God, or more accurately, God got a hold of him, that true success and prosperity was realized. When God touched Jacob's hip during his transformative wrestling match, Jacob emerged walking differently with a new name and a new identity. See, I got to know Elden about 10 years ago at Grace Bible Church. So we all know that Elden is generous, he's intelligent, and he's kind. But I observed an increased interest in spiritual matters and involvement at church. It manifested in his desire to serve in various ministries, the board of directors, in the parking lot, in prayer, and although he's hesitant at first, singing on the worship team. If you didn't know, Elden has a beautiful singing voice. But as Elden pursued God further, business practices and godly values often conflicted. Like Jacob in the Bible, God allowed Elden to wrestle with him on these issues. The wrestling in prayer, in surrender, and receiving wise counsel was forming Christ's character in Elden. A character that God could entrust his provision with. Now the Lord declares, those who honor me, I will honor. 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 30. After one of our church services at Kahala Elementary, I felt the Lord's prompting to share with Elden a divine impression of prophecy. I sensed that God would bless Elden as he would create a business incubator or an accelerator that would stir creativity and growth. Little did I know that several days earlier, he was considering to be involved with a project that would radically change the scope and the scale of his business, RevCom. The simple prophetic word encouraged and confirmed with Elden that God was with him. It stirred his faith. God's presence and blessing came to a man that wrestled with God and came away changed, walking and living differently for the Lord. It's not about the financial prosperity that came about, but a fresh personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Thank you, Elden, for being obedient to God, shaping and leading. Many are being blessed by God through you. Thanks, Al.